This Fish for Fun video is the third in a series called Things I Do. The Things I Do series is where I show you how I do things that may be different from the norm. It's not my intention to imply that they are better than anybody else does them. It's just that they are different. The subject for this particular Things I Do series is anchoring the kayak. And the reason I'm doing it at this time is I have recently gotten a lot of comments where people ask me, how am I anchoring my kayak? YouTube viewers are very perceptive, and when I anchor the kayak, I'm not intending to show anybody anything. But the YouTube viewers are picking up on little subtle things, and so one of them is the anchoring of my kayak. When I bought my first kayak, the technique that people were using a lot to anchor their kayaks was to use the old trolley system, where you run a rope through a series of guides, and the rope had a ring on it, and you run your anchor rope through that ring, and if you wanted to anchor from the front, you ran the little trolley up that had the ring on it to the front of the boat. If you wanted to anchor in the back, you ran it to the back, and so forth. So naturally, I installed one on my kayak. I used it one time, came back home, tore the whole system out of my boat, designed my own anchor and my own system, and I'm still using it today. And I'm going to share it with you now. What I'm going to do is to show you how I build my anchor, and the design of it and the techniques for using it will be explained a little bit later. The mold that you see is designed from a piece of angle iron, and I welted flat pieces on each end of it to contain the lead, and then I drilled a hole in the bottom of it, and the purpose of the hole was to put the eyelet in that will be used to tie the anchor onto the rope. This is how the mold looks once I have assembled the eyelet to it. The eyelet will extend about a ½ inch beyond the bottom of the anchor. This allows me to put a shock nut on it. The first thing that I do before I actually pour the mold is to put some silicone in it. This allows me to get the lead back out of the mold after it solidifies. If you're going to pour hot lead into a mold, you have to first melt the lead. So what you see here is my fish fryer with a cast iron pot, and I put some lead in the pot, and in this picture I'm in the process of melting the lead. Before you do anything with hot lead, be sure you first put on some safety glasses. In this video clip, the lead is now hot and we're ready to pour it. But before we can do that, we need to dredge off the slag that always forms anytime you heat lead. Notice that I have on a padded glove for the whole operation. Now we will pour the hot lead into the mold to the desired level. All we have to do now is wait until the lead cools enough to become solid, and then we can remove it from the mold. I decided that while I was doing this demo, and while I had my pot out and my lead out, I may as well go ahead and make 2 or 3 more molds for some friends. It looks like our lead has solidified, so let's take it out and see what we have. It only took about 20 minutes to make all 4 of these molds. Now then, when they cool, I will take them out to the shop and use a rasp and a wire brush and knock the sharp edges off. This is our finished product with the sharp edges knocked off. The shock nut is added to the bottom and the anchor rope is tied onto the anchor. Now that we have our anchor constructed and ready to go, let's talk about the technique for using the anchor on the kayak. And we'll use my Wilderness Systems 115 Ride X because I use a front anchor and a rear anchor on this particular kayak. I don't always use an anchor at all on a kayak. When I'm fishing in a lake, most of the time I anchor from the front so that I can face into the wind and fish whatever structure it is that I'm trying to fish. When I'm floating down a river or a stream, the current is normally behind me, so I will be anchoring from the rear so that I can maintain the position of the kayak while I'm fishing. And upon occasions, I will anchor from the front and the rear if I'm bait fishing for catfish and have a reason to actually anchor the kayak sideways. Now let's take a detailed look at this anchoring system, how it works, and some of the advantages that I think it has. This is a view of the anchor when it's placed in the rear position. And this view shows you some of the advantages of the design of the anchor. It has a flat top on it, which holds snugly against the kayak. It doesn't flop around or make any noise. And the cutaway sides reduces a lot of the weight of the anchor, but it holds just as well as if it were heavier. The same advantages of this small anchor is the same on the front of the boat as it is on the back. The lighter weight and the fact that it fits snugly against the side of the kayak. Whether we are anchoring from the front or the back, the anchor rope travels through these low-profile, snag-free line guides. One of the handiest things about our anchoring system is the line lock that the line goes through before you tie it off in the kayak. When the anchor is fully retrieved, you simply turn it loose and this little guy grabs the line and holds it in place. We'll demonstrate here for you how it works. Well, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I answered the question for those of you who wanted to know how I anchor my kayak so quickly. That's how I do it. And hopefully something you saw will be helpful to you. But for now, I'm going to load my Wilderness 115 Ride X by the side of my wife's on that trailer, and we're heading out to a lake somewhere. And by the way, thanks again for watching Fish for Fun.